It was 3:06 a.m. when my front door was literally blown off its hinges. There was a loud bang, wood splinters flew everywhere, and suddenly 4 men in black tactical vests stormed into my house yelling HOA enforcement. Act! Like they were some low-budget SWAT team. But these men weren't cops, and they weren't even real HOA workers. They were just thugs in fake uniforms. That night, they made one huge mistake. They chose the wrong house. My name is Jared Clean. I'm a retired Army Ranger and now a stay-at-home dad to my 12-year-old son. Logan. We live quietly on a cul-de-sac near a small lake town in Minnesota. My wife passed away 3 years ago from a sudden aneurysm, leaving just Logan and me. He's a smart kid who builds Lego tanks with real suspension and reads military strategy books for fun. I've tried to give him as normal a childhood as possible, but that night stole a part of his innocence forever. Our neighborhood HOA got weird after a leadership change last year. A woman named Cheryl Ross took over without an election, claiming some loophole let her act as president. Most people ignored it. Soon she started issuing outrageous fines, like charging a neighbor $200 for leaving trash bins out 37 minutes too long, or citing another for painting his house off-white instead of eggshell cream. Kept quiet until she targeted my truck, an old F250 parked beside the driveway. She called it a military-style vehicle, banned in residential areas under her rules, and stacked fees on top until it totaled over $3,800. I told her this was harassment and to leave us alone. She just smiled like it was a challenge. I never imagined she'd go this far. That night, when the door blew open, I reached for my 9mm in the biometric safe by my bed, but I was too late. One man was already in my room, blinding me with a flashlight, while another ripped off my blanket, shouting about resisting HOA inspection. Their black vests just said, "Security enforcement," with no real badges or authority. I raised my hands and told them they had the wrong house. One man shoved me back and said, "Nope, right house, non-compliant vehicle on record. We're here to inspect and impound." Meanwhile, another was tearing apart the living room yelling "found cash." The last was shouting at Logan, who stood barefoot in the hallway, shaking and confused. But then everything changed. A few months back, I had taught Logan basic gun safety, how to hold and unload it, never to touch it without me, but also to do whatever it took to survive if someone broke in and I couldn't help him. That night, he remembered. Without screaming or crying, Logan slipped back into his room while the man's back was turned. He opened the biometric lockbox on the closet's high shelf, something we practiced with often. Inside was a small .22 Ruger pistol. I didn't see him do it, but I heard the gunshot crack through the hall, then silence, and then screaming. The man collapsed, clutching his bleeding thigh. Logan walked out, pale but calm, gripping the gun with both hands, just like I taught him, and said, "Drop your weapons or I'll shoot again." Instantly, the intruders froze. One bolted out the back door, another ran after him, and within seconds, 3 were gone, peeling away in a black SUV with no plates. Logan didn't lower the gun until I took it from his shaking hands. His eyes didn't blink for nearly a minute as I hugged him and told him how proud I was, that he was safe. The 4th intruder was still groaning on the floor. I called 911, told them an armed intruder had been shot in self-defense by my son. When the dispatcher confirmed, she said, "Police are on their way. Keep the gun secured." Real cops arrived 6 minutes later, cuffed the man, called an ambulance, and asked, "What happened?" When they saw the fake uniforms, plastic badge, and bogus HOA warrant of entry, one officer laughed and said, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. They made their own warrant." Turns out Cheryl had created a fake enforcement division with made-up documents and online ordered gear, calling it the Neighborhood Security Task Force to look official. She even filed nonprofit paperwork to legitimize it. They traced the SUV to her boyfriend Doug, but a record for impersonating law enforcement, the same man Logan shot, was out on parole. Cheryl claimed she just wanted compliance checks and never intended harm. She was arrested for conspiracy to commit home invasion, impersonating law enforcement, and reckless endangerment. The others faced similar charges. Logan was cleared the next morning. The DA said it was a clear case of juvenile self-defense, with no charges or probation. Still, it affected him deeply. For weeks, he couldn't sleep well, kept checking the locks, and once whispered to himself, "I thought I was going to die." That broke me. I told him he was braver than I ever was at his age, but he didn't need to be brave anymore. That was my job. We got therapy, installed security cameras, and replaced the front door with a reinforced steel one. He's better now. He doesn't talk about it, but his drawings changed from tanks and helicopters to sketches of our house with tall walls and searchlights. Always with us inside, smiling. People often ask if I regret teaching him how to use that gun. If I would have done things differently, but I don't. Because that night, they didn't just break into our home, they violated our safety and our right to live without fear. Logan stood up to them. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He just wanted to protect his dad, and doing so, he saved us both. So I ask you, if someone pretending to be an authority broke into your home at 3 a.m., dragging your child out of bed with a fake badge, would you freeze? Would you fight back? Would your child know what to do? Tell me in the comments. And if you've ever dealt with a corrupt HOA or people abusing power under a fake title, share your story. People need to know they're not alone, and that standing up starts with one small voice saying, "No more."